to episode 8 of Moon Diary Moments. This is our final episode of the season, our little diary of the moon variety.
Yeah, we just hop on here and let you guys know about our experiences that we're having while playing live music as independent musicians.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about our California trip.
Yes, so just to give you guys a little bit of background, we had a California tour basically planned. We had about 8 shows in California, 1 in Arizona booked for the month of June. Last week of May. So this show that we're about to talk about was kicking off that tour.
Right. That was the first show. It was called Maya Moon Collective in San Diego. So we drove from where we live in northern Colorado to Southern California.
It's about 18 hours ish.
And it was a great trip. Honestly, we love road trips. But this one was, some of them can be difficult because things arise or whatever. And we definitely had to, reinforce our bumper with zip ties.
Yeah, we did that. That's for sure. Because if you'll remember from our Colorado Springs trip that we talked about, our whole bumper fell off. So we're still dealing with that, but it's okay. We got it all fastened with zip ties for extra security. And it did well. We did really well. And yeah, we're feeling really prepared for this road trip. It was supposed to be kind of this month-long thing. So, spirits were really high at the beginning of this road trip. We're stopping, making sure we're well fed, getting into our cooler, and just, playing music anytime we stopped. And it felt really good.
It felt very intentional. All 3 of us, with our dog. We were enjoying it, and which is not how all road trips happen.
No, because
sometimes
in the past we've had 1 show in California the past few years, and we will go there, play a show, turn around, and come right back. So that
kind of rushed.
Can be rushed and a little stressful. You don't have time to actually relax and prepare for the show that you're about to play. So this one was a lot different because we were in it for the long haul.
Yeah. So we, it was a very intentional trip when we got to San Diego. What was it, Thursday?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was I don't know, Thursday we got into San Diego on Thursday maybe, and then, a Friday, I don't know. So we had a show pretty much the day that we arrived in San Diego. And we arrived at Maya Moon Collective and had these, super freaking delicious cacao drinks.
Gosh, yeah, mine was this lavender rose cacao drink, and his was this turmeric ginger drink.
Super delicious.
Amazing.
Gosh, it's an awesome little place. You guys should check it out.
I want another one so bad.
But yeah, we kind of hung out outside for, we got there probably several hours before we needed to.
Like we do.
And yeah, eventually we were supposed to play outside, so we set up all of our equipment and stuff outside. And then about 15 minutes before the show was supposed to start, or the music was supposed to start, one of the, our contact at the shop was like, hey, no one's out here. Everyone's inside.
It's a little chilly.
Let's move it inside.
The season. Yeah. How do you guys feel about playing inside? And at first we were like, shoot, we just got everything set up and we're supposed to start in 15 minutes. But on the other hand of that, we were like, we definitely want to go inside.
Yeah.
It is kind of chilly, and who's gonna be out here, when you could be in this super cozy, beautiful little shop inside. Yeah.
So we moved all of our equipment inside into the little corner.
It's actually pretty efficient.
Yeah, set it up all within 15 minutes, actually quicker than 15 minutes.
I don't know how we did it, but we did.
And then, it was a great show. There was a lot of people there. Everyone was, not overly engaged or anything like that by any means, but we did, turn a few heads.
We made some connections. People were, taking videos of us and sent it to us later, dancing. And
just eating it up, it was
just
a very
really good vibe. We felt
crowd.
Our music definitely belonged in a place like this really intentional cacao shop. And we later learned even too that a few of the staff members were also musicians and stuff. So it just was a really nice space. it was like people really held the space for us to be there and do this. We weren't just like in the corner and ignored by any means.
Yeah.
So it was really special. And afterwards, we even spoke with a few people and like for a while and just kind of made those connections, and it was just a very like uplifting experience, and it was a great way to kick off this California tour, we thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was it felt very meaningful being there, and like the staff was very nice. They received us very well. Like our point of contact, everyone, at first you're just strangers meeting each other, but then
and then when you play your music too, you get to meet each other on this total vulnerable spiritual level. It's like, you know us now better than some of our day job coworkers because you just heard our whole story, a piece of our soul. So yeah, you like can't help but connect with people a little bit afterwards. So
yeah, I would definitely go back. It was funny. So yeah, after the show, we had several people come up and talk to us, just how it happens. And so funny story.
One of those people.
So we were talking to this guy who was, I forget his name, unfortunately. Jose. And yeah, and then I noticed while we were talking to this guy, there was like this couple standing off to the side waiting
Very
for us
patiently.
to, get done with this conversation with this guy who was really awesome, and we were just connecting over this music and the town and stuff like that. And so, we kind of were wrapping up this conversation, and I kind of turned to them and like greet them or whatever. Thank you for listening, because I remember, we saw them in the crowd. They were there for pretty much the entire set,
Yeah.
and yeah. So it actually turns out that this woman, so she starts off the conversation. I'll try to be vague without details, but basically, I knew this woman when we were both in like middle school.
Right?
Yeah, probably like 6th, 7th grade. And she starts the conversation with, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "I don't know. What's your name?" And she's told me her name. And then she was like, helped me.
School.
Yeah, from this school and middle school, blah, blah, blah. And then before I can like answer or say hello or like even have this like moment of recognition, she like kind of starts going off about how I was very mean to her as a child, and how I was a bully to her in middle school, and how she said she like didn't let me get a word in, but she very much made it a point very loudly in this cacao shop.
It was very loud for everyone to hear.
To say how much that I hurt her feelings in middle school. And that was a long time ago for me, and I don't necessarily remember anything specific, but I have no doubt about her claim. And so I was like, immediately feeling very apologetic and even a bit shameful, and so I like tried to apologize to try and make amends for that, because I do, I'm sure we all can relate to having, past behaviors that we're not proud of. So
and then growth, and feelings about that. So you want to be able to have that moment of like forgiveness, especially if someone is still feeling hurt about it. You want to be able to like mend that wound and create some healing, right?
But yeah, before I could even offer any apology or remorse, she kind of just cut me off and walked away, saying like, sarcastically, sarcastically kind of, and then just kind of walked away and never let me get that chance to whatever.
But again, this was
forgiveness.
Very loud, and so
she kind of like made a scene almost.
There was a little bit of a scene almost.
And it felt like she wasn't like wanting to forgive me or even bringing it up to see what I would offer, remorse for it, and it just seemed like she was kind of like aiming this spite at me.
So if you're watching this right now, somehow, some way.
Yeah, I mean, I do apologize for that, and also it was a very nice lesson and reminder for me, because like I'm not the same person I was in middle school like 3 decades ago, which
you're not 40
or 2.5 decades ago, I guess. But yeah, it was a nice little reminder for me by the universe that like, hey, you actually have changed. Remember, because you used to be a little shit when you were in middle school. And probably hurt a bunch of girls' feelings because you didn't know how to speak to girls when you were like 12. So yeah, I took it as a very actually positive sign that even people whom I've been this other person to can notice somehow that like I've changed, and maybe they're not like they still kind of put my face to their wounds who maybe have not healed or anything like that, which I do hope that after that interaction, for whatever reason, I hope that can start healing for her. But
yeah, so it was,
it was a very interesting
Maya Moon
first
created
show.
a very interesting experience for us, but
Yeah.
overall,
Connected with a lot of people on a lot of levels.
We felt very empowered, and we felt very seen and heard,
Right.
and like, okay,
Impactful,
this is becoming something that is bigger than us, and it also kind of made us think about that is probably not going to be the only time that something like that happens, and we need to be willing to face our shadows, face these
Absolutely.
things and people that we have hurt in the past, and that's, again, not going to be the only time that happens. It's just the first time. So it gave us so much to talk about and so much to reflect on, and I think overall it was a really, really positive experience, and we left Maya Moon just feeling like, again, very
empowered,
but also like blessed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like blessed by the universe to keep going. We had, before we go on big trips or have certain shows, we'll often call your mom, and she'll usually say a prayer for us. And something that she said in her prayer for us that really stuck with us was, please let their ministry be heard. Please let their music be seen as a form of ministry. And goodness, at the end of Maya Moon, wonderful man, Jose, that we were telling you about,
he came, the first thing he said to us,
thank you for your ministry. And we just felt
heard
the presence of the divine so hard.
Yeah.
So it was just a really good experience, especially dealing with something like facing these past shadows and something like that. I think that all of it was supposed to happen together, right? So yeah, overall, that was an amazing show and an amazing experience, and like you said, we'd love to go back at some point.
Absolutely.
So after that, we go back to our van.
So we're in a month-long tour, right? Yeah. So we're staying in San Diego.
Right. Our next show, I think, is even supposed to be
in San Diego or La Jolla.
Yeah, in the general area.
Yeah, or San Diego.
But yeah, so we go back to our van and we sleep at the beach, our favorite place to sleep overnight, and it's a dog beach where it's our dog's favorite place, and we love to just wake up there in the morning, and there's like no leash laws if you do it before 8 a.m. if you wake up and catch the sunrise and everything.
So everyone can kind of run or have their dogs off the leash on this beach.
You can run off your leash too if you're a human.
Run around and...
But yeah, it's just a magical morning time. Like, it's very quiet, but all of the dogs are just living their best dog life, and they're all so happy, and all of the humans are just so happy from watching their dogs be so elated. And so, we've done this multiple years in a row, so this beach has become kind of like a morning tradition for us. And so this time we are walking down to the beach, and our dog Eva is just like, again, living her best life, loving it. We're having a reminder over and over, don't drink the salt water, don't drink the salt water. And then we find, a stray tennis ball, and we're like, cool. And we throw it for her to go fetch, one of her favorite pastimes. And her little heart runs as fast as she can, and then she yelps, like sudden, acute moment where something happened to her. And I've never heard her yelp like that before. And then she lays down, and that was like one of the scariest moments, I think, for us that we've ever experienced being dog owners. We knew immediately that something was horribly wrong with her. She could not walk.
So yeah, she could not walk. Her, like, basically the back half of her body was broken in a broken heap. Like, she...
And this is our first dog, so we really don't have experience with like what could be going on or what could be wrong or what's common or what to look out for or what to be careful for. So we're very ignorant in this situation, especially at this moment in time when this is happening.
So the rest of that day,
so we end up like we carry her into the van and go ahead.
The rest of that day we basically just kind of not panically, but like kind of brokenheartedly try to
figure out what's our next step.
Ruminate on like what might be going on. Like clearly her back legs have both been like torn up or broken or whatever.
Something is terribly wrong, right? And our personalities, especially my personality, when something's going on with an animal or a human, it's like, let's give it 24 hours and see what happens, right?
Does it get hard better? To do when you're like
worse,
living in the van and like you're supposed to be kind of doing this other stuff for music and things like that. So.
Right. And we made, a good friend. I kind of texted her what was going on. She gave me a call and was like,
offered
some comfort and was like, these are some potential things that could be going on. But like you're wanting to do, give it 24 hours. You guys have come all this way to California and you have so many shows, like just wait a day and see how her condition improves or doesn't improve before you make a decision.
That 24 hours was probably the fucking, hardest.
We'll bleep it out.
24 hours that we've experienced so far because of just brokenheartedness and.
And Eva didn't know what was going on with her, and she is in pain and is kind of looking to us to fix it, to do something, right? Because that's our role here with her. And so long story short,
we end up making the decision. I mean, after sleeping at a Cracker Barrel in the middle of nowhere,
we made the
just
decision,
upright in the driver's seat, in the front seat,
Yeah, we made the decision before we went to sleep. Like, I called my dad and was like, what should we do? And he was like, you gotta get your dog home and you gotta get her to the vet and figure out what's going on, which was obvious, but I think hearing my dad say it, because he's the person to least freak out about any situation, least overreactionary person I know in my life. And he said, you gotta get her home, hun. You gotta go get her seen by your vet. And so that just really was like, okay, so we're not overreacting. Something is seriously going wrong. And she is not improving. Not at all. So we made the decision,
so we drive back
let's
to
get
Colorado.
A good night's sleep or try to get a good night's sleep at this Cracker Barrel. And as soon as we wake up, head back to Colorado, do it in one go, 18 hours, and get home. So that's what we did.
Yep. Contacted all of the venues in California
Canceled
and the one in
gigs.
Arizona. Canceled all
For
the
7
gigs.
gigs.
But
I do want to say that everyone that we had to cancel with was so wonderful, and it felt like everyone was just confirming that we made the right decision. We kind of let them know that it was an emergency with our sweet dog, and everyone, almost every single person was like, I get it, my dog is my child, and I would do anything and everything for them. We totally understand, just let us know when you're coming back and we'll figure something out. So that made us feel better, like we didn't just totally bail on these obligations.
Yeah.
And so we got home, and I think we let her rest for like 12 hours in bed, because after a road trip, I'm sure anyone who has a dog can kind of relate, they just kind of like zonk out, totally zombie out for like 12 to 24 hours to sleep.
But yeah, after a few days we took her into the vet, who kind of, not speculation obviously, but her like professional opinion, I guess, was that her ACLs, both of her ACLs were torn.
And that she needed to have surgery ASAP.
And so we, I think within a week, probably made the appointment for surgery, but we also didn't have like enough money. So within that week, we also tried to apply for a bunch of credit card stuff, which I got, we got
denied over and over and over. It was something really, really bleak, but we were actually able to
because of community support
community support, friends and family. You know, we started like a little campaign, and we were able to
So many
raise,
people
with the help
donated.
of one very special friend, Jules, we were able to raise collectively over $2,000. And so that paired with all of our savings, we were able to get her the surgery that she needed. And she's actually doing really well. Right now, as we're filming this is post-op.
Right, this is several weeks later, and she's had
doing
the
good.
surgery, and she's very much got her personality back,
Yeah.
which is the most, you know, most fulfilling of this experience is seeing that she's now no longer this like other broken
she's not
thing
a broken
anymore.
dog.
Like she's got her whole personality back.
She's like laying over here right now listening to us tell a story, and I feel like she's like turning her head away. She doesn't want to hear this story.
But yeah, it was a very, very hard time for us. It was hard for us to cancel gigs, and it was hard for us to spend literally every penny that we had.
But at the same time, it was almost
an easy
like
decision. It was no brainer.
There's no other decision than giving everything we could possibly give to this wonderful spirit animal who has given us everything that she could possibly give us. And she's 8 going on 9, and we've been with her since 8 months. So we've just all been, it's been the 3 of us forever. As long as we can all remember, you know, so, especially her. So it was such a blessing to be able to give her the care that she needed. And the doctors were amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
They took such good care of her. They sent us
Royal Vista
in Windsor, and they sent us little pictures of her before she went to bed that night after surgery. Pictures of her when she woke up the next day, saying she can't wait for you to come get her. They were so cute. So yeah, overall, that was a good experience because she got what she needed, but it was very trying and very difficult for us.
Yeah, it was very mixed bag, which I feel like is a theme of life. You know, like you don't just get blessings, you get struggles with, like it's just
like
such a mixed bag.
This is going to turn into like a Forrest Gump quote.
And it was very traumatic for us and obviously for her, but it was also very humbling to see how many people responded with financial support and also like emotional support. And I mean, it was
constantly
probably the first
checking
time
in on her, like every day.
Totally. It was the first time that I feel like we in our adult lives have been in such a hopeless like position.
To be real, yeah.
And like, you know, you always think that, well, I can't speak for everybody obviously, but sometimes you feel like you can do it on your own, or you feel like you're
independence is important.
Asking for help even, and that's just pride. And we had to learn very, very quickly. We were put in this desperate situation to let go of pride and to just be at the mercy of people who love you. And that was a very, very hard but important lesson to have, because that is life. That is God.
And it always takes a community, right? It always takes a village to do anything and everything. And the more that isolation is important. And there are so many virtues.
Solitude, yes.
Solitude and solitariness, if you will. But
it's just as important to be surrounded by love
and like
loved ones.
Welcome, like actually receive it,
accepting that. Yeah,
it's difficult. It sounds so easy, but it was, one of the harder situations that we had been in, and we had to let go of a lot of aspects of ourselves very quickly and reprioritize, right? Like we cared so much about these gigs and the music and playing live and stuff, but as soon as something happened to our dog, I mean, I had an immediate shift on priority and just was like, cool, yeah, like none of that matters. This is all temporary anyways. We'll go back to California. We'll play those shows eventually. But right now, our dog can't walk. Mm-hmm. And that has to be the priority. Yeah, I can't imagine prioritizing in any other way.
You let go of your identity with like, you know, identifying with being a musician and playing these like shows. It was like no, like I'm
today I am a dog parent,
right? And to be able to be fluid with those identities, I feel like is very important as well, because it was like, okay, cool, like I'm putting down that hat of the musician right now and I'm picking up this other hat of like this love love that I share for whatever it is, you know,
and all of these hats live in a closet.
Right.
You're not like
it's
burning the hat.
Yeah, exactly.
You can come back and put that hat on when it's the right time to put that hat on. And
yeah. And only
and
you can decide that, you know, like.
Speaking of being fluid, you know, like something else that we wanted to share with you guys, because either in the previous video, episode 7 or episode 6, we announced to you guys that we're moving to Texas.
Right, yeah. And now we've found ourselves,
Colorado,
life has found ourselves in a different circumstance, different situation. And
some personal things have shifted in our lives, and we felt like Colorado tightened its grip on us a little bit, and we felt like we're actually called to stay here for a little bit longer. So our move to Texas has been totally postponed and delayed, and we're focusing on creating the most like stability and security for our little family that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And we were very surprised, and we shouldn't have been, but so surprised by the support from our community, especially our community in Texas. We thought they're going to be so disappointed, and we don't want to have this conversation. We've already told everyone we're coming back, but we received like unconditional support for our decision, and everyone just totally understood why we wanted to make these decisions, and that they were proud of us for listening to the universe, for listening to God, and going in the direction that we're being called and pushed to go towards. So it was still a lesson in that community, and although we are remaining in kind of like our own little area here in Colorado, I mean, I just feel the support of the community, our friends and family, more than ever. So I'm so grateful for all of you guys.
Yeah, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the circumstances, and when you get overwhelmed, you forget about stuff like that you have a support group, that you have just even in strangers, or you know, like, the universe is there for you through all of these tiny little tendrils or fingers, and we feel that through our community. And even if it's just your neighbor or your coworkers, your friends, your family, that is, you know, love manifested in all of these different fingers. And we sometimes feel ourselves, at least maybe, you know, like I feel myself taking that for granted or forgetting that it's there at all. And it takes something like this to remind you. And hopefully we won't be so quick to forget.
Forget it so quickly, yeah. Absolutely.
So
you don't want to be like saying a prayer only when you need a favor. That one's
that's copyrighted.
but you don't want to say a prayer only when you need something, right?
Totally.
And it's the same with your community.
Yeah,
you don't want
to
you don't want to only notice your community when you're in need. Oh, it's for the good times. It's for the celebratory times too, and just those moments in between, to just be together and recognize that we're all here together.
Yeah.
So
and that suffering and loss and grief, it's there for a reason. And that sounds cliche, and you don't probably want to hear that. But when you endure stuff like that, on the other side of it, it makes you, you know, you hug your mom a little bit longer, you know, or tell someone else that you love them, you know.
Make that phone call, or
it makes you appreciate these moments that we have.
Yeah.
Because they're fleeting. God, they're fleeting, and they're not guaranteed. So.
So, we have, as far as the next shows go, we have the entire month of August off.
You know,
and we will be back at it, theoretically, in September. We've got about 8-ish gigs in September. We've got a couple of festivals coming up and things like that, so we're going to do our best to check back in with you guys at that time.
But as for now, this kind of concludes our first little
our like summer
series or season, or whatever.
Yeah, let's call it a season.
Sure.
8 episodes.
Summer season.
That feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was our first kind of debut of this concept, Moon Diary Moments.
Moon Diary Moments.
And it feels like a milestone coming to the end of the season. Keeping up with this was a very much a discipline for us.
You guys have no idea how many times we almost gave up on this whole Moon Diary Moment thing.
But it was very fulfilling, I think, at the same time, because it allowed us to kind of process things out loud to an imaginary audience, or, you know, Not that you're imaginary, you're very real. But to us, you're imaginary because you're just our cell phone right now.
And like, there's a good chance this won't ever release in our minds.
But it was very healthy, I think, for us. So thank you guys for allowing us this space. We will, continue to do our thing, live life to the fullest, laugh, love a lot, and then
check
play
back
music.
in for season 2, right?
And then check back in, exactly. So thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful life up until that point, until we see you again. I love you very much.
Fall.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Say bye, Eva. Bye.
Mountain peaks around your luminescent essence with loving